Hello everyone, I'm back again with another pickups video. Nothing too much game related this time. Most of it's going to be DVDs. But first up, I was at the local Toys R Us and I was originally just going and looking for this piece right here. It's the Rick Grimes Walking Dead figure. They had this version and then the version from the graphic novel. Decided to get this one because this one looks more realistic as opposed to the other one. It just looked a little outlandish, personally, in my opinion. But yeah, I found that. I was surprised because the last couple times I was in there, they just had the two walkers or the Daryl figure. None of them. Then this time, oddly enough, all they had was this one right here. But lucky find there for me. And next up, a Duke Nukem action figure. I had been looking for these, or at least one of them, since the game came out. I think these came out a few weeks to a month before the game was released. Couldn't find them anywhere. Whenever I looked online, they were either overpriced, like I think at one point they were $40. I found this on the clearance rack at Toys R Us for I think it was 10 something. Glad I finally got one. This will be a nice little display piece on my shelf. Now with the movies. Starting off, probably one of my favorite TV shows of the last decade. Smallville. This is the 10th season, the final one. Picked this up after waiting for a while. This came out in November of past November, that is, and it was retailing for about $60. Even on Amazon now, it's still about $60. Really hasn't gone on sale all that much, but sorry about the lens there. Not the lens, the light up there. It's gonna be. Let's see if I can. There we go. But then I was cruising my local Walmart recently, and they had it on regular price $40, so I picked it up. You know, it's always nice to save money and things like that on DVDs. But next up, I was at the local FYE this past Friday, and looking through their used DVDs, I found this. It's the Real Ghostbusters Volume 1, which it has about 30 episodes, I believe. The tin itself is a little scuffed up. There's some marks here and there, and then along the back there. But overall, good condition. The discs are in great shape, and it even includes the booklet for it. Which I thought that was a steal when I got it. I believe it was $14 I paid for that. Then next up, another box set. I think this is the final box set. Chuck, the complete 4th season. Big fan of the show. Sad to see it go with the 5th season. As of now, as soon as the 5th season come out, when it comes out, I will have the entire series. Which this is one of my favorite TV shows of the past decade. I would venture to say one of the last creative shows that have been on. This was one of the shows that you really got wrapped up in. I mean, specifically my favorite character. I mean, everybody liked Chuck. My favorite character, right there, John Casey. Adam Baldwin, just a great actor. Sad to see that one go. Sit those right there. Next up, a Disney classic, The Lion King. This is another one of those movies where they would hold it in their Disney vault, then never release it. I believe at one point I had this on VHS, which anymore, who has a VHS player? I know I sure don't. So when they announced this was coming out on DVD, picked it up day one. We have Fright Night. Big fan of the original from, I believe it was 1985. This update did things very well. Probably all the updating they did was nice, but the best change that they did was the Peter Vincent character there, played by David Tennant. It made it more believable. I mean, in the original, he was a actor hosting a B-movie horror show. You're not gonna believe that guy kill vampires. I mean, sure, it was a nice bit of the story from the original. The famed vampire killer actor. I mean, it's not really believable. With this update, the change they made, having him be a big vampire buff, nice change to things. My one complaint about this movie is Colin Farrell. I don't know what it is. I just couldn't get into him being a vampire, but I don't know. Personally, I think Chris Sarandon did a perfect job in the original Fright Night. Then following that, we have I would say a horror parody. It's Elvira's Haunted Hills, which I picked up back in October. It was around Halloween time. I think it was just as they were starting to clearance out all the Halloween DVDs. The movie is a parody of itself, almost. I mean, it's tacky. What you expect to happen will happen, but I mean, it was a good movie. It's your typical B movie, but I found that entertaining. I mean, it was different. Just say that. I mean, I was expecting, not so much a follow-up, but that Elvira, Mistress of the Dark that was out in the mid to late 80s. I think it may have been towards the mid. I was expecting something along those lines, but this was a nice change. Don't know how easy that would be to pick up nowadays, but if you can find it, I would suggest it. Next up, Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. Excellent movie. If you haven't seen it, I would suggest either renting it, picking it up on DVD, or I believe this is also on Netflix instant streaming, but excellent movie. And next up, Warrior. When looking at this, I looked at the trailers before picking this up, and I thought, that seems like a good movie. I mean, the actors that are in it, I mean, specifically Tom Hardy, seeing his past movies, I thought I knew what to expect from him. There's actually a lot of depth to his acting. But this was a good movie. Lots of good acting. The ending, you could kind of tell what was going to happen, but overall, it's a good movie. And next up, Flesh Wounds, starring Kevin Sorbo, which, not really much to say about this, except it's essentially a shot-for-shot remake of Predator, starring Kevin Sorbo. I mean, there were points in that movie where I would just be sitting there and I'd have flashbacks to watching Predator, and it would just hit me that, I mean, there are points where instead of it being an android, it's an alien in that movie. What am I saying? Instead of being an alien, it's an android in the movie. And he gets, I believe it was either his arm or his leg injured, and he's just sitting there repairing himself, and he screams, and I just thought that same thing that happened in Predator. But the similarities, rather, they're just far too many. Next up, Captain America, the First Avenger. Great movie. Not so much great comic book movie, but just in general, great movie. Very entertaining, lots of action. Highly suggest it if you haven't seen it. Now, these next few movies, I would say they're guilty pleasures. First up, Conan the Barbarian. Lots of people didn't like this remake. I did. I mean, if you come at it from the perspective, now I have seen the movies from the 80s starring Arnold Schwarzenegger. Those were enjoyable, but if you forget those and you're just taking this as what it is, just a standalone movie, if you look at it like that, this is a very good movie. Lots of action. The plot is thin. I mean, you could see what's coming from a mile away, but very enjoyable movie. If you just take it for what it is, don't compare it to the other movies, then you'll probably enjoy it like I did. Now the final movie, Bloodrayne, the Third Reich, which I don't know what it is about Uwe Boll movies. They are terrible, terrible movies, and I keep going back. But this was actually a pretty decent one. Not so much with the story or the plot, or the acting for that matter, but the action in it, just over-the-top, ridiculous stuff, but very good. Wouldn't recommend it if you're looking for like an action movie or a vampire movie, but if you've seen the past Bloodrayne movies and you kind of like them, I would suggest this. Finally, the video game. Just one. Crackdown 2. This was at the local GameStop. I got it for, I believe it was $11.48 with tax, which isn't a bad price for it. I played and loved the first Crackdown. It was a great game, even though it just comes down to being a collectathon. The action in it is... It's great. My only complaint about it is the targeting system, but that's just a minor gripe. Overall, great game. I like the changes that they made to it, because they only changed what needed to be changed from the first one. But still, overall, very good game. I highly recommend that. Like I said, not too expensive anymore. Fairly cheap. So until next time.